Welcome to the vCloud Automation Center demo on configuring multi-machine blueprints. First, we'll discuss the two types of user roles that are able to create multi-machine blueprints, the tenant admin and the business group admin. Next, we'll demonstrate the steps required to configure a new multi-machine blueprint. These include configuring the blueprint information, build information, networking objects, scripts, properties, and security. Finally, we'll show you how to publish a blueprint to the catalog so that users can access and request the multi-machine blueprint. In vCAC 6, there are two users that are able to create blueprints, the tenant administrator and the business group administrator. The general purpose of the tenant administrator is to create groups, policies, and configurations that will be used by all business groups throughout the tenant. On the other hand, the business group administrator's role is to then take the business groups that the tenant admin gives to them and create appropriate content for those users they're responsible for. The main difference between these two roles in regards to blueprints is that the tenant admin can create blueprints that are global to the tenants, whereas the business group administrator is only able to make blueprints for their business group. A multi-machine service is a compound service composed of multiple machines, yet provisioned and managed as a single entity. The most common example is a multi-tiered application consisting of web, application, and database servers, all interacting to deliver a common service or application. Although this is the most typical example, a multi-machine service can be any combination of virtual, physical, or public cloud machines that need to be provisioned and managed as a single entity. During the request process, a user can request a variable number of machines of each type, or adjust the CPU, memory, and storage resources within the minimum-maximum thresholds defined by the administrator. As part of the provisioning of a multi-machine service, each machine is configured as well as the interaction between the machines. This group of machines can then be managed as a single entity, or it can be managed separately if needed. The overall benefit is to streamline the provisioning and ongoing management of multiple machines within and/or across multiple platforms. Also, it's only through multi-machine blueprints that you're able to configure advanced operations that leverage the dynamic creation of NAT, routed, and private networks. We'll start off by logging in as Tony, who's our tenant administrator. Then we'll navigate to the Infrastructure tab, then Blueprints, and Blueprints again. Note that there are already blueprints created. You'll need to already have single machine blueprints created in order to make a multi-machine blueprint. Luckily, we already have a few single machine blueprints here. If you need to, refer to the single machine blueprint video for steps on creating a single machine blueprint. At the top right corner of the screen, we will select the New Blueprint dropdown and select Multi-Machine from the list. When creating multi-machine blueprints within vCloud Automation Center, you're defining the provisioning part of the machine lifecycle. To simplify the process, the blueprint creation is broken up into 6 tabs. Each tab will guide you through the creation process. The first tab is Blueprint Information. It is used to provide general characteristics about the resource. For our demo, we will configure a build automation test blueprint, which will consist of a web server, an app server, and a database server. Let's start to configure our blueprint. First, we'll put in the name and description. The name and description fields will be visible to the end users, so it's important to provide clear and descriptive information. Let's fill in our information being that name equals build automation test, and description is build automation stack for SQA testing. The remaining fields are similar to the ones in the creation of a single machine blueprint. Since we have already defined the cost of the individual machines, we will not define a cost here. The Build Information tab is where the majority of the difference exists between single and multi-machine blueprints. For single machine blueprints, this is where you specify how the machine will be built and what the configurable parameters are. For multi-machine blueprints, this is where you select the single machine blueprints that will be within the multi-machine blueprint. We start this process by clicking Add Blueprints. Once on the screen, we'll select our application server, our database server, and web server. all of which are previously created single machine blueprints. Now that we have selected our blueprints, we can specify the minimum and maximum number of each machine allowed by pressing the Edit button. If we specify a range, the user can select from within this range during the request time. We will also specify the startup and shutdown order. Note the Edit button in the Network column, which is new to version 6. This will allow you to add NICs attached to the networks you configure in the Networking tab, as well as load balancers. If interested in more detailed information, please refer to the video called Using vCAC with NSX for information on dynamically creating network and configurations through vCAC. Under the Machine Resource heading, you'll see a minimum and maximum lease for this entire multi-machine blueprint, allowing users to utilize the resource for a range of time, then to have it automatically destroyed. The Network tab is unique for your multi-machine blueprints. This is where you would go and specify networks that this blueprint will have access to and create. If you would like to use any of the networking components other than Direct Connect, you must have VXLAN enabled. When the edge device is created, you have the ability to place it into a specific location. You can do this using the reservation policy underneath the Routed Gateway heading. The Scripting tab is also unique for multi-machine blueprints. This is where you would specify policies that can be defined to orchestrate the coordination of the different components that make up the multi-machine service. This may be the startup or shutdown process, as well as the scripts or workflows that will be used to configure the interaction between the component machines. Refer to the Operations Guide for more information around custom scripting and workflows. The Properties tab is where administrators can select predefined custom properties, called build profiles, or define new custom properties for this resource. Like any system or network object, a machine is defined by a number of properties. Examples include the machine's architecture and operating system, and the size of the memory and disk. Some properties are reserved by the vCloud Automation Center, with a full list available in the Operations Guide. Other custom properties can be created and specified by the administrator. All custom properties are available throughout the lifecycle of this resource. Just like with single machine blueprints, the Action tab contains the blueprint's access settings. On this tab, actions can be enabled for the blueprint. However, in version 6, this alone no longer provides users access to these actions. Actions need to be also combined with their service entitlements. This is the combination of the actions specified in the blueprint as well as the service entitlements that determine the actions each user can perform on their own machines. Check out the video on service entitlements for additional details. At this point, we have completed the configuration of our multi-machine blueprint. To save our settings, select OK. Finally, once the multi-machine blueprint has been created and saved, we must publish it to the catalog so it can be entitled. This is a new step to vCAC 6. The purpose of that publish step is twofold. First, it allows a person of another role, a business group manager for example, to take over the next steps in the catalog, freeing up the infrastructure as a service architect. Second, by publishing the blueprint to a catalog and having the policies defined at the catalog level, it allows us to reuse the same blueprint over and over again for different groups that require different policies. For more information on altering a catalog item and entitling it, please refer to the catalog management video. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope that it was informative. To learn more about vCloud Automation Center, there are additional videos available.